Oh my gosh, I should really not have bought these. Hi and very welcome. My name is Mary. This is my channel Lumi Level Up and I'm a luxury lover on an average income trying to be more mindful with my money. So this tag comes in quite handy for me. It's the 5 bags I would not buy again tag. And I personally would even go one step further and say 5 bags that I regret. Because of course I'm trying to be mindful, but I still do make mistakes all the time. And purchase bags that I should not have purchased. And sharing this with you, we all might learn our lesson from the mistakes I made. I got tagged from the lovely Michelle from Dial M Style and I really have to give her a huge shout out. Not only is she very mindful with spending herself, she did not even have 5 handbags to regret. So she filmed another take on the tag, her luxury purchase regrets. In general, I will link you that video and you should for sure check it out. At the end of this video I will have a few more words to say about Michelle, but since I don't want to get that introduction part too long and since I don't want all of you to jump to her channel right away, immediately before finishing watching my video, I will keep that for the end. But make sure to watch till the end because she's really amazing. For me, it was not too hard to figure out 5 handbags that I would not purchase again and that I do even regret. If I would take more time, I'm quite sure I could even come up with some more. I just took a look at the pieces that are still in my collection. For sure, I did already sell some of the handbags that did not work out for me. 3 of the bags I'm going to share with you are not that well known and popular anymore. So I think for them there is not too much of a risk for you getting them anyways. But 2 are very popular in the luxe community, so they might come as a big surprise for you. My classic Chanel Jumbo and my Louis Vuitton Mini Pochette. For one of them it is a very individual reason, but for the other one it's quite general. But let's start with something else. My Damier Doré trapeze bag from Giorgio Armani, which is the most expensive line from the Armani brand. It is this beautiful taupe leather with pink suited sides that you can pop out to make it have a trapeze shape, or you can put them back inside for a more classic rectangular shape. And then you have this kind of triangle at the sides. I think that bag launched somewhere around 2010 and 2014, back when the trapeze shape from Celine was very trendy. So it is already an old lady on the handbag market. It retailed for around 1,400 euro, which is about $1,650. I scored it at the outlet at quite a fraction of the price, and that's what really got me triggered to buy, but it didn't work out for me at all. The handles are way too small for me. I could fit them on my shoulder if I really try, but then it's directly under my armpit. It looks, yeah, well, not that bad as I thought, but it's very uncomfortable and I would be worried that I might sweat on the bag. I'm just not the biggest fan of handbags that can only be carried in the crook of your arm. It gets heavy and uncomfortable over time. I did really not wear that bag a lot. Maybe 5 times in the 6 years I have owned it. But still, it didn't hold up very well. The leather on the handles crinkled. The whole bag kinda got out of shape somewhat. You are not able to see that well anymore, and I'm not sure if you are able to see it. There are marks on the leather where the handle lied from storing. I do store this bag different now, hung up on the handles to not worsen these dents. Since I've been doing that, the whole bag is not slouching that much anymore. It even got somewhat back to shape. Yet still, overall, this is just not a bag for me. I love the colors, but that's it. I've been trying to sell it, but no one seems to be willing to pay a price I could live with. I do regret that purchase. I should have not got it. I definitely would not buy it again. But sometimes you first have to discover what's working for you and what's not. Number 2 is the Chloe Paddington bag. And I don't know if even anybody remembers this purse. Kind of saggy right now. It has been the it bag in 2005. Basically, when I have still been a teenager, there is quite a funny story to this bag. I've always been drawn to bags, and I bought a caramel beige bag at the flea market that looked exactly like a Paddington, down to the lock and the key and the leather, except the branding on the key and the lock. And back then I had no idea that there was a Chloe bag like that. I did love my caramel beige bag to pieces. I was wearing it like crazy. One day somebody asked me, "Oh, you got the Chloe Paddington bag." Oh no, it's not. And that was how I discovered about the existence of this bag from Chloe. Ever since that, of course, I wanted to have it. But of course, for the longest time, I've not been able to afford the Chloe bag. When I finally was earning some money, already a few years had passed, I found one pre-loved that I was able to afford. And I struck. And it is this one. The bag itself, the leather, really held up very well and is in good condition, but the hardware not too much. The lock has been in terrible condition when I first got the bag. Initially it has been an all black bag with black hardware. I don't know if you can see. I don't care about the scratches on the feet. They are black and silver now, but the lock was really terrible. And I tried to paint that. To do a little DIY on it, but it didn't turn out too well. It did rub off in places, and I guess it got even worse than it has been before, because when I got it, it was only that there were missing some parts of the black paint. What I did to it, I painted it with, what's the name of it? The graffiti color thing, spray paint, but it was... Yeah, so I ended up filing off my paint and the Chloe paint that was under the paint. Now the lock is silver and this part is kinda mixed metals. I think I ruined it. That has been years ago, so please don't judge me what I have been doing to my purse. Maybe I could just wear the purse without the lock. Then there would be this useless flap and this hook, and I just don't know. It's not so much of the bag's fault that I regret it. It's more of my fault what I did to it. Maybe I could even get that lock painted professionally, but I'm not drawn to that bag shape anymore that much. Since I don't think I could sell it for a good price, it just sits in my closet. I regret, because I should not have gone for a bargain. If the hardware is so used that I wouldn't enjoy the bag itself anymore, guess it would have been better to save up a little more and get one in better condition, or just not get it at all. But I've been young and dumb, and yeah, lesson learned, I guess, kind of. Another bag that just sits in my closet, the Choo Ramona bag. You might already know that one from my Bagflagtag video, where I already mentioned it and said a few words about it. It was one of my very early designer purchases when I just got more comfortable to spend money on luxury designer handbags. I was still going to university. I was working as a waitress and I was deeply in love with Louis Vuitton, but I wanted to check out some other brands as well. And I got that huge Jimmy Choo tote. I was wearing it quite a lot back then. I did use it for university as well, because people who are not so much into designer handbags wouldn't recognize at the first look that it is a designer handbag. Of course, there you have the Jimmy Choo, but other than that, it's just the shape that speaks the language of designer fashion. And only if you are into the bags and know the shape. So as I said, I was wearing it a lot. It held up quite well. It only has some, cracking at the glazing, but I think after such a long time that's something that happens. There is nothing wrong with the bag itself. I just think by now it looks kinda outdated. I don't like the style anymore. And with Jimmy Choo you have the problem that they do not hold their resale value very well. So it would hurt me personally to sell it when comparing what I paid for it and what I would make back on it, especially since it has been such a huge amount for me back then when I bought the bag. I know many of you in the luxury community don't think we should buy purses with having the resale value in mind, but for me it always is something I take into consideration. I know with the money now just sitting in my shelf, it might be even a worse waste, but I keep telling myself that there might come a time when Jimmy Choo is super hot one day and then I might be able to sell it. I know that's kinda naive and most probably it won't happen for this style of bag, but I just can't get myself to losing so much money on it. So another regret here, and I just realized I prefer buying Louis Vuitton since you always can sell them on at a quite good price. I would only ever buy Jimmy Choo pre-loved or very reduced at an outlet. So I would not buy a Jimmy Choo bag retail ever again. And now we are already getting to the really spicy regrets that might get some of you wondering. The Louis Vuitton Mini Pochette in Damier Ebene. I'm quite sure you will understand me in a few moments. I know basically it is more of an SLG, but since it has the shape of a bag and there is the mini micro bag trend going around, I did feel fine to include this one. By now I do have 5 Louis Vuitton Mini Pochettes, including this one, and I really do love to collect them. So it's not about the shape of this particular SLG, but just about this particular one. It has been my very first mini pochette. I bought it from a private person through eBay Marketplace. Maybe you can already foresee where this is going to. Unfortunately, I cannot speak up very open about this since YouTube is quite strict on that topic lately and I don't want to get myself into trouble, so you kind of have to read between the lines. It has been a few years ago. I don't remember the exact date. If you do believe the data code inside of this pochette, the piece is from 2013 and sadly I don't remember 100% for sure what exactly I paid, but I think it has been around 150 euro. I did get the authentic Louis Vuitton invoice with it. Right now, unfortunately, I do not know where I put that and what price was on the bill, but I think even in 2013 the price has already been higher than what I paid pre-loved. Around maybe must have been 2018 or 2019. That's quite untypical because usually when the retail prices go up, the pre-loved prices go up as well, especially on the items that are still very sought after. At the time I got my first mini pochette, there was already quite a hype around that piece. They were quite hard to get directly from LV, so it did kind of get me wondering why someone was selling for such a good price. Sometimes, if the price is too good to be true, it just is not true. But since it came with the invoice and the date code matched the date on the bill and the person I bought it from was fine with me picking up that piece directly from her at home, everything looked fine so far. I felt quite safe and I gave it a try, and as you can see, I bought it. In the beginning I enjoyed it a lot. I was very happy with the bargain I scored. Everything was fine so far, but when I got my next mini pochette, which was the pastel pink one from the limited Escale collection in 2021, I realized that the tag on the Damier Ebene one is slightly smaller than on the Escale one. I thought maybe it's an optical illusion because of the dark material and the light material, and sadly I cannot go too much into detail about it and I cannot show you comparison pictures since YouTube is quite quite strict about that topic lately, especially if it is about comparing. But just let me say that something started to feel fishy. I tried to calm myself, telling me that maybe because this is from a limited edition and they do come at a slightly higher price point, that they might just use a bigger leather tag than on the classic ones. But sadly, unfortunately, when my mini pochette collection grew, all of the other pieces have a bigger tag than my Damier Ebene one. I got quite some very strong doubts. I still don't know for sure, and I still have a little bit of hope. Maybe there have been some slight changes to the mini pochettes over the years. Since 2013 is quite a while ago. If you have one from that year, 2013, and you have a newer one to compare, for sure let me know in the comments if there is a difference on yours as well. And maybe then you can help me to calm down, but honestly I cannot enjoy that piece at the moment anymore. And I'm really afraid that I might have been betrayed. But since it took me about a year or maybe even longer to even discover, and I'm not 100% sure about it by now, I don't know. I didn't feel very well to get back in contact with the seller, and I'm not even sure if I would have her contact information anymore. You might know from my storytime video how I got to court because of a Louis Vuitton Agenda PM, that this would not have been the first time something like this has happened to me. Back then it was the case for 150 euro as well, so the same amount, but back then I have still been a college student, and so it has been way more money for me than in 2018, 2019 when I got this one. And back then I have been 100% sure, and it has been a lot about the attitude of the seller as well. Yeah, huge regret, not because of the model of the mini pochette itself, but only because of the doubts about this one. I should have just waited until I'm able to score one directly from Louis Vuitton, just to be extra safe. That's my regret. And last but certainly not least, the regret you might have all been waiting for, my black Caviar leather jumbo Chanel classic flap with silver hardware. I'm quite tall, so I think it is the perfect size for me, for a bag to get a lot of use out of it. This has been my holy handbag grail for the longest time. I love and adore the idea of this bag. For a very long time I did not even imagine that I would ever own a classic Chanel. Since the time is already quite advanced, I guess I will try to keep it somewhat shorter, and I might film a own story time or review or whatever you want to call it about that particular bag, since there is even something to how I got it. It is by far the most expensive bag in my collection, and well, never say never, but I'm not sure if I'm ever willing again to pay that amount for a bag. The sad story about it is I had such high expectations for that bag, and it just couldn't keep up with them at all. In case you are wondering, this is not a double flap, it is a single flap with the black interior, all black interior, so you cannot look into that bag very well, or maybe not at all. These single flaps are not made anymore. Some people do love them since they are way lighter, and some people do hate them since they don't keep their shape very well. Maybe you have already spotted it's kind of crooked here, and it's very crooked on the sides and got out of shape here. Maybe that has been the mistake I made, since it is a single flap, didn't keep its shape very well. And I'm just in general very, very underwhelmed from this bag and the way it held up. And therefore, to me, it is not worth the price at all. Not at all. I have to say, it is not my biggest handbag regret of all times, since I think, and I hope, I could still make quite some money back on it if I would ever decide to sell it, even with the condition it's in, because we all know that Chanel prices are just going up like crazy, and I guess there are still quite a lot of people out there that do prefer the single flap, which is way harder to get a hold of now. But to me personally, it's just kind of sad that I didn't go with another option for a black Chanel classic flap. I'm very disappointed of that bag, and it just made the Chanel dream burst for me. Most probably I will never ever resell it, since I don't see myself getting another classic flap for a price I'm willing to pay ever again. So I will just stick to that one that kinda broke my heart. I do have another Chanel in my collection, which is a beige vintage double flap. But my thoughts on that one and on Chanel in general, they have to wait for another video. If you want to hear even more about this heartbreaking jumbo single flap, how I got it, what I paid and all that jazz, just let me know in the comments, because there is quite some more to tell about it, and I'm happy to film another video for you, since this one already got quite long. Those were my 5 luxury designer handbag regrets for the reasons mentioned. Bags I would not buy again. This one I would buy again, but only from store. But it feels stupid to me getting it once again if I still have this one in my collection. But this one doesn't make me happy. Back to the lovely person that tagged me to do this video. Michelle is a former Louis Vuitton SA, and she has some very interesting insights about working for the company. I really enjoy watching her videos, and if you are interested in Louis Vuitton, I bet you will enjoy the videos as well. I have to emphasize how much her support means to me. I guess she might not even know, and I hope I won't get too cheesy, but she stumbled across my very first YouTube video when I only had a handful of subscribers. That has not even been 4 months ago, so I still have a very small channel, but I'm very appreciative for each and every single one of you. Michelle left her feedback and she kept sticking around, giving me feedback even on practical aspects like how I can improve my sound, what she thinks would be a good idea to focus on when I want to improve the quality of my videos, and she kept strengthening me with kind words whenever I wasn't too sure if my videos would interest anyone or if my quality was way too bad for the videos to be enjoyable at all. Like, Kris Jenner, you're doing fine, sweetie vibes. I know quite some of you have been around since my very first video, since it has not been that long ago. But I am really so thankful for her being such an early and honest supporter of my channel, and that she did believe in me right from the start, even though her channel is 25 times bigger than mine. The YouTube algorithm meant quite well for me with my very first video, even recommending it to so many people like to Michelle. Even though it was my very first attempt and very first upload ever, I got quite a lot of attention for it. Till this day, this first video gets quite some clicks and still is the most viewed video on my channel. I guess that's kinda untypical to have such a kickstart. That might have made my start somewhat easier, I guess, but it turns out to be a little bit frustrating now, because my latest videos do not work out that well as my very early ones did click-wise, and I do not have been gaining too many subscribers lately, even though I personally feel like I improved with my videos. Maybe by the time this video goes up, things have already changed again. Well, and I do not want to moan too much anyways. Guess with YouTube we are all going through phases. Sometimes it works out better, sometimes it works out less good, and it shouldn't be about the numbers too much anyways. But if you want to help me out with the numbers, and you made it this far, you might have enjoyed that video, and you might consider subscribing to support me and believe in me like Michelle did. To end this video, thank you so much for your support, Michelle, and thank you to all of my subscribers and the ones who are commenting. It really means so much to me, and I always enjoy reading your comments and getting in touch with you. You should know it really is highly appreciated from the bottom of my heart that you do share some of your time with me. Oh, and before I forget it, I will tag some people of whom I think they have not filmed a video for this tag until now. down in the description box as well. So if you are watching and if you are a YouTuber as well, and if we are in touch, you might check out the description box and maybe I want you to film your take on this video as well. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you next time and bye! That introduction bar that can only be carried in the pit of your arm. No, in the crook of your arm. The pit is something else. It is tangled up. Kontaktlinse.